Recording in progress.
What it do, what it do, what it do. It is your boy, Andrew, aka Mr. Goody Two Shoes. And who am I with? As always, Joseph Huggins, aka Old Man Huggie. Talk shit or get off the pod. Number 86. From a side chick to the queen. City girls up. Welcome, motherfuckers.
I don't applaud that. I'm not applauding that.
What do you mean?
I'm booing that right now because, no, man.
Why?
I don't like.
Can't turn a hoe to a housewife?
Because I don't like Camilla.
Because hoes don't act right?
No, because I'm Princess Die till I die. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. And that's how it is. And so that Skeeze can get out of here. And I changed it to from side Skeeze to queen because I thought that was more disrespectful. And now, round of applause, episode 86.
Well, I saw that it said side Skeeze, but I think people know what a side chick is more. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, well, she's coordinated.
Nah, man, I'm not about it. Not about it.
You weren't up at like 3 a.m. watching the coronation?
Fuck no. That's like the least American thing you can do is give a shit about the royal family. I'm sorry. We had a whole war with these people about being free and independent. Now, if we go to one world government, then okay, everybody's back on the same team. But nah, dude, like, it's just like nepotism and like they don't even do anything.
Prof G had this joke, and I think I'm saying it right, where in the UK, when the Queen was alive, any person who turned 100, you would get a personal letter written to you from the Queen. And then anybody, when they turned 16, they got a personal text from Prince Andrews. That's right. Prince Andrews used to keep it with Epstein.
Yeah, well, I mean, he got stripped of all of his royal titles, but no, I mean, I just don't give a shit. I mean, I guess I liked The Crown, which made me not really like, which made me be like Princess Di till I die, even more so. But like, we grew up in that Princess Diana era, where it was like so it's like
kind of. We were pretty young when
we were young, but come on, dude, we all knew like a candle in the wind.
That was at her. I was at her funeral.
I know everybody remembers that. Like I remember watching that as a kid and being like, "Damn!" And like everyone's mom was crying. Like I remember that more than anything about the royal family, and I was a kid. And I think that since then, their public image looks bad. You can say what you want about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and all them, whatever. We're not like a royal tabloid podcast, but I do think that they're just kind of. But I think they're just kind of pointless. I think like what they do is kind of pointless. They're just like, oh yes, and
I hear it all the time that they do take a shit ton of money from the guy, like from the state of from the people, the citizens. However, what they bring back is a lot more value than what they take. Is always the line I hear for people. And
I guess what is this like? Because they got the juice, man. If you put them in the room with some powerful people, they got the juice. Like, no, like man.
Tourism and all this shit. Like,
yeah, but that shit's still gonna exist whether they're living there or not. More people might show up, but they could go the fuck inside, and they kick them out. And they're like, hey, you guys just live in this condo. Look, we'll pay you like $175K a year to just like fuck off. You keep all the money you've got, but we're done paying you, and we're gonna like appropriately sell off all these public lands that you own and this crazy shit and actually do something tangible with it, not just let you go hunt like foxes on it.
Why do we care? Like this, it gives us a
no, I know, but I mean,
thing to talk shit about is the monarchy. So
yeah, but there's other monarchies there's other monarchies that are like worse. So like I'm president king and I have 150 wives. Like that shit exists. So there's some weird shit that they're not top of the list. They're just kind of cornballish, I guess.
Well, there's the King of Jordan, and but he's like our ally and on point, and I think his wife's American. But
that's tight.
Yeah, he's a benevolent king.
Well, that's how you should be.
Right, but that's rare.
Nah,
like when you get to king status, it's usually, and you're in charge of shit. It's usually rare that it goes right.
Yeah. That'd be intense. But nah, they're just goofy to me. We'll get into that later. But yeah. How are
Okay.
you, sir? How's life treating you?
Things are good, man. Things are good.
Well,
Life
life's what?
just great.
Well,
No more panic attacks or anything like that.
hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Different background today. Well, I've got news. I'm gonna be in California next Wednesday through Sunday.
You always say that and then never
No,
show
like
up.
no, like I have like tickets and shit. Like I fly
Oh,
out.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to be out there. Yeah, from Wednesday to Sunday. So if you're down, if you want to link up, we can link up because I tickets and everything. Like, get a rental car. So how far are you from like the LA area? Because I'm not gonna have shit to do.
Like 40 minutes.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude. It's going
Yeah.
down. It's going
It's
down.
going down.
So we'll still
in
do the
DM.
We'll still do the. It go down in the DM.
Oh.
That's a good song. Yeah, I leave Wednesday, but we'll still do the podcast Monday, and then yeah, I get in town Wednesday. And I pretty don't have much to do. I'm gonna see my Gigi, see my grandma, hang out with her, my sister, do some shit, peruse around. But yeah, we gotta link up.
For sure. That's right. Okay, y'all. As we do, we start with therapy questions. I put these in late. Like, I got sidetracked and forgot I hadn't put these in yet. But our boy, Sydney from ChatGPT, provided us with these answers. Not that they're paying us.
What do you think about, okay, because I've had people say, some people have said they want to do a whole episode of nothing but therapy questions.
Who said that? Like fans?
Yeah, like people that
Listeners?
have listened, like people that have listened or watched, are like, hey, if you guys should just do a whole show of just therapy questions. Someone told me like, just get 50 random questions from ChatGPT
50?
and just go through them.
No, I just pulled up 40 and got 4 that
Damn.
were like good for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, 50 would take too long.
What if? Oh yeah, okay.
Because like over half the podcast is therapy questions at this point. And it's only 4.
True.
All right, but we'll take it into consideration. We're trying to give the people what they want.
You're such a benevolent king.
Yeah. Deal with it.
Got it.
Okay. Therapy question number 1, and I've asked this before. I forget if it was early podcast, but I think it was just like a question I posed on Facebook. Didn't really get a legit answer back. So Joseph, if Cinderella's shoe fit perfectly, why did it fall off in the first place?
Because it's glass, her foot's sweaty, or it slipped. Fit perfectly doesn't mean it can't come off. A shoe that fits perfectly has got a little bit of like get it off. Every shoe that fits perfectly has got a little bit of get it off. Like, yeah, I could slide in and out of it. A perfect shoe that fits perfectly, you don't have to tie it. You can just put it on. It just slides right on.
No.
Yes, because we've all had a pair of New Balance like that. We've all had a pair of something where they just like slipped on easy. It was like you maybe tied them like 2 or 3 times the whole time you had them.
Well, I'm just saying, speaking of side chicks trying to become the queen, Cinderella, to me, it's like an O.J. Simpson, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
But he spread his hand out. So
Right, he spread his hand, and he was wearing a latex glove under it, and he was like purposefully like not like putting it on.
Yeah, like extremely rare Italian shoe. Yeah.
So this isn't Cinderella's slipper that fit perfectly, but she greased up her dirty feet, like with some mop water or something, and then slid it in there.
Jesus.
Stuffed it in
mop
there.
Water.
Because that's what she does. She mops.
I guess that's like her chores. No, I think it's really like a combination of humidity, running, because she's like, oh shit, I'm late. So she's like, bitch, gotta go. So she's about to dip, runs down the stairs, running down the stairs in heels. It could come off. It could slip and fall off.
Or it was too big for her, and then when she tried it on, she spread her toes, so it looked like it fit perfectly.
Yeah, she was like cheating.
Yeah, she made her foot swell.
Yeah. She knew about it beforehand and was like early onset diabetes, and then just like pounded a bunch of sugar and her feet swelled when she got there. It's like, it's perfect. She's like, I feel dizzy.
Yeah. She's scheming, dude.
Yeah, dude. Maybe it's possible.
Side chick to a queen. All right. Therapy question number 2. If two mind readers read each other's minds, whose mind are they reading?
Two mind readers. I mean, they're
I'm
just.
reading your mind and you're reading my mind, so am I reading my mind?
I feel like you'd be having some conversation at that point where it'd be like, I understand what you're doing and you understand what I'm doing. Reading each other's minds, and it'd just be like a loop. You'd be seeing your own.
It
You'd
would
be see,
break the time continuum, bro. It
You
just
think
like
it
their
would just
heads would
like a
explode.
rip a hole in time? It would just like
Yeah,
separate, a
yeah,
split in the wall, and be like sliders or something with Jerry O'Donnell.
yep.
It'd suck as shit. That'd be tight.
I mean, the most embarrassing thing to ever do to like a mind reader or a psychic is plan them a surprise party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You surprise your psychic with the party,
yeah,
shit's over.
yeah. Everyone's like, I gotta,
They're exposed. They're
yeah, I gotta get out of
exposed
here. Have
in
you,
front of all their friends and family.
I don't. Do you believe in like hypnosis? Do you think people can hypnotize
I have
people?
a hypnotherapist.
Okay. Well, I mean, like
It-
whenever. Well, I mean, like whenever they do it, and it's like kind of they have it on like for show, like if they like call
yeah,
someone
yeah,
up.
yeah. It's not what you think, but yeah,
Okay.
it definitely does happen.
Okay.
You get them into like a really suggestible state. Like so with hypnotherapy, they get me into a suggestible state, and then I start like, and then they like do a guided like meditation. It seems like a meditation, but you're actually in hypnosis, and it's like you're envisioning things. Like 3 years ago, I started hypnotherapy,
Okay.
and my hypnotherapist had me look in a mirror and see where like what I looked like in 5 years, and I looked in the mirror and I was like saw myself in a like a beach attire and also in a suit, and I was living in Santa Monica and working in Santa Monica, and then 2 years later I was living in Santa Monica and working in Santa Monica.
Mhm.
And that's not it's not supposed to work like that, like, but it's just weird that like it was like not until after I was living in Santa Monica, working in Santa Monica, did I remember that was like something that I manifested like in a hypnotherapy session.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. If you had the
So
ability to do that, let's say you could hypnotize people, or you could read minds, what would you use that ability for?
sex,
Okay.
not the hypno part, but the reading
I
minds.
was like, Jesus.
No,
Like, so you'd basically be like Mel Gibson and What Women Want.
exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, that's such a weird movie. That was like right before the downfall. That was one of those. He was
Yeah, Mel Gibson apparently thought what women want is like for you to yell at them and tell them to suck your cock and like
over the phone and say wild shit and like, yeah, man, it was like What Women Want, The Patriot. There was that little run.
yeah, I mean Lethal Weapon. Um,
It's coming
so
out with
also,
another one. They're coming out with another one.
well, like the first 30 minutes after you wake up and the last 30 minutes before you go to sleep, you're really close to theta, which is like the what you get into when you're meditating. But like it's kind of, they call it the magic 30, and it's when you're still kind of in a hypnosis because you're in between sleep and awake. So that's when you're the most suggestible. So that's why like, when you wake up, you should like do gratitudes, like a gratitude list, and meditate, because then like you'll really internalize it for the rest of your day. And then
Okay.
also right before you go to sleep, same thing.
Okay. That makes
Magic
sense.
30, y'all, dropping knowledge. And then like
Okay.
also when you're driving, sometimes you're in hypnosis because you just do it all the time, and like so when you miss your exit, just like zoned out, that's hypnosis. Or like when you're like switching lanes, or you like are driving and you're going the right way, but you just like, whoa, how am I already here? That's hypnosis because you're just so used to it, and your
Okay.
brain just goes into that state.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't mind like a long drive to work because it's kind of therapeutic for me. It's like,
Yeah,
so if I'm like frustrated or if I woke up rough and I'm in a bad mood, I have like a long drive to get there, and that like allows me to like decompress, and by the time I get there, I'm in a better mood than probably when I drove. Unless it's
right.
some like wild shit. Other than that, I'm
Yeah.
good.
So like when you're in alpha state, like that's when you're like daydreaming or learning, like you're like in class and like learning, but you might like drift off and start thinking about other stuff.
Yeah.
When you're in beta, you're in fight or flight, or freeze mode. So you're just like all over the place, and like your body feels like it's in fight or flight because you're just dealing, you're stressed, you're high stressed, like you're all over the place. And then you want to get, but for meditation, you want to get to theta, and that's when you can be like fully like present and in a hypnotic meditative state. And then when you're sleeping, it's delta. Just dropping some knowledge on y'all.
Okay, look out.
So you don't want to be in delta when you're trying to meditate because then you're just gonna go to sleep.
That sounds good. That sounds like a deep sleep, dog.
But that's not meditating. That's just sleeping.
Yeah, but maybe I just want to sleep. Maybe I just
Yeah,
get
well,
down
that's
to
fine.
delta and then I'm like, all right, good night.
I know, but if you want to meditate, just don't
I'll
do
get,
it when you're
I'll get
about to sleep.
I'll get to theta later. You know what I'm saying?
Hoo, hoo. All right, y'all. Therapy question number 3. Why do we say bless you when someone sneezes, but not when they cough or fart?
I want to say because historically, if you got like a cold or something to that effect, there was something where a sneeze was a common thing with the sickness that was killing a lot of people.
Like the plague?
Yeah, like not like the plague, but I don't think it's directly the plague.
It could be. A lot of things are like
But yeah, like if you were to sneeze, it'd be
ring
like,
around the rosy.
yeah,
That
yeah,
song.
yeah. So they would say like, I think "bless you" came from people being sick because like everybody was dying. Think about how wild that is. Everything was
Yeah.
like made of stone and built by hand. There was no like cars or anything driving around, and someone could sneeze on you, and then like half your neighborhood's like down, like down.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like a pandemic. Like, could you imagine?
Oh my gosh, I don't know what that'd be like. No, but like I mean, what was it? The fleas on the rats that were carrying the plague was what was helping spread the plague.
Right. So like I learned about the story, the Pied Piper, which is like like it comes from the plague, and basically this guy comes to town and he's playing the flute, or he comes to town, he tells like the mayor that he can get all of the rats out of the city because the rats are spreading the plague.
Yeah,
And the mayor's like, okay, I'll pay you this. So he gets his flute out and he guides all the rats out of the city. And he comes back, and the mayor's like, well, I don't know about that. Like, you might have been the one who brought the rats in the first place, just to like, grift us to pay you to get them out. So they only pay him like a fraction of what they told him. So then he's pissed. So he comes, and all the parents are at like church or something. And he comes and he gets all the kids and
yeah,
steals all the kids.
yeah. I've heard that story.
Yeah. And then my spiritual counselor who was telling that story to me was saying that he thinks that Steve Jobs is the Pied Piper because he created the smartphone, and and now all the kids are on it. So he took all the kids from the parents and they let him. So now he has generations of kids that are hooked to the phone.
Yeah,
Yep.
think what America's the most iPhone using country in the world, right?
I don't know.
I think they make up like 30% of the global market when it comes to like smartphones. Majority of phones are Android.
Those are still smartphones.
Well, yeah, no, true. They're still smartphones, but that's more
Like
of a metaphor. I don't know. If,
like everybody in the Philippines has a smartphone, but their internet is Facebook. So it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, that's a good metaphor because there's a lot of people who created a lot of stuff, but I don't think.
Not like the smartphone where like all day every day kids are trying to get screen time.
Yeah, but I don't think that Steve Jobs did it with the intent of stealing kids.
Yeah, that's what the Pied Piper would make you think.
I mean, I guess that's creepy.
He has the entire global population under.
Yeah, but he's
his-
like a ghost.
Yeah, that's right. He's dead and he still has the kids.
What if we found out Steve Jobs was like frozen or something?
Like Walt Disney frozen?
Yeah, like Walt Disney frozen. Ted Williams.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Ted
he
Williams'
is.
head frozen.
Do we not know that he's not? Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, what proof do we have that Steve Jobs wasn't frozen?
Well, did he say that he wasn't frozen?
Well, I think if you freeze yourself, you don't necessarily want to tell people. It's where Walt Disney fucked up. Like, if he shows up, everyone's like, "Oh fuck, Walt, that crazy anti-Semitic cartoon guy's back. Look the fuck out. He's got a cigarette in his hand. He means business." Like,
I remember you said that he was power smoking while frozen.
yeah. Oh, dude. Like, if there's top top 10 cigarette smokers in history. Walt Disney's in that list. Like Joe Camel, like, you know, the Winston guy. Like, there's not
the Marlboro
yeah,
Man.
the Marlboro Man. And like, bro, I'm telling you, Walt Disney's like nipping at their heels, dude. He's like the Karl Malone of cigarette smokers. Like, never won a title because he didn't get like a check for it. But like, he put up some
put up
points.
numbers.
Yeah, he put up numbers, dude. Like, he's first ballot smoker for sure, and has like a troubled past and has made bad decisions, just like Karl Malone. Because Karl Malone's kind of
Karl Malone.
nah, he's kind of a piece of shit, man. I mean,
I know. Yeah, trust me, I know.
yeah, but yeah, Walt Disney, big power smoker.
Karl Malone is a big power smoker too. He has his own cigars, and I used to work for a cigar company, and we'd have like trade shows in Vegas, and Karl Malone's booth was always up there. He'd be like a keynote speaker sometimes.
He'd be like, "Let me tell you about cigars.
Yeah.
When I'm out on the farm on my tractor, not talking to nobody because everyone hates me."
Yeah, so Walt Disney can't be the Karl Malone. Except for Karl Malone is the Karl Malone.
Except for John Stockton's QAnon ass, because I'm a fucking asshole. That's true, dude. Like, it's John Stockton's weird too. Those jazz guys were good, but they're kind of a little spooky.
Yeah, they spent too much time in Utah.
True. Well, Karl Malone like went there. That's like where those are like the only people that would accept him. He's like the OJ of Utah.
He's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
I don't know about the bless you part when people sneeze. I don't say bless you when people sneeze because I just think it's weird. You're just bringing attention to them like more than they already got from sneezing. But during the pandemic, you know, I would used to sneeze to cover up my farts, but during the pandemic, I would fart to cover up my sneezes.
That's fair though. I mean, sometimes you gotta, you know, it happens.
Because sneezing was a bigger problem than farting at that point.
Yeah, and I think, because sometimes you just gotta fart and it's like whatever. And I gotta sneeze too. And if I gotta do one, I'm gonna fart first because the shock from that is gonna distract everyone. They're gonna be like, "What?"
No, because then you're gonna pull attention to yourself. You have to do a simultaneous.
Yeah, but that's
loud fart.
It's painful.
Covered up sneeze.
That's painful.
Well, if you're dedicated like me.
That's like being Zeus. That's like being the Zeus of farts and sneezes. That's like striking lightning doing that. Farting and sneezing at the same time simultaneously, where the fart is loud enough to cover up the sneeze. That is some Zeus level farting and sneezing.
Thank you.
Like that's on command. You would do that on command.
You'd have to like have a fart on deck, ready to go at all times, just in case you sneeze.
So you're just walking around one in the chamber.
One in the chamber for sure.
Okay.
Cocked.
Okay, safety off. Definitely safety off.
Yeah.
So anyone can get it. I mean, it's like, what class? At some point, this is happening. Oh, I got to sneeze.
Boom.
Okay, that makes sense. You know, and you're like in like the library, you know, or something like that. And you know, you don't want to sneeze
anywhere around people.
Because the library, because everyone, you're just like, hey, sorry guys, because everyone just kind of chuckles at you, but you might be, hey, are you that guy that farted? You're like, yeah, what's up? Like, that was cool, you know, maybe that happens.
Yeah, I'm free like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last and final therapy question number 4. Joseph Huggins. If the Beatles were still together today, what kind of music do you think they would be making?
If the Beatles were still making music today, they'd probably be like the Rolling Stones and kind of be done making music, but they would do stuff where it'd be like Kevin Bacon and the Bacon Brothers would like show up with guitars. So they'd be doing like the circuit, like the normal basic circuit. They'd be doing world tours, but I think they'd be playing all their old shit. They would.
You don't think they're not up in? Okay, in this premise, that let's say that they are still making music.
Then it'd be some like weird, probably like spiritual healing type shit. I think
you don't think they would like ride like pop culture and like do like features like with Drake?
No, I don't think so.
Or Taylor Swift.
See, but I could see Taylor Swift. I could see them doing songs with those people,
right? Like
Taylor Swift's Christmas album with George Harrison. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Jingle all the way.
Yeah, because Paul McCartney does that shit.
Yeah.
maybe Paul McCartney. It might be the fake Paul. It might be the clone Paul McCartney. If
Oh,
you,
is that a theory on
yeah, dude, that's
on
a
the
whole.
interwebs?
No, that's a whole. There's a documentary on Netflix that was on years ago. It was like 3 hours long. It was wild as fuck. But there's a whole conspiracy that Paul McCartney died. The real Paul McCartney died in a car accident because Paul McCartney wasn't like a crashed his convertible way back in the day, and that they found a replacement for Paul, and that this Paul that exists now is a fake Paul. And then there's all these different things throughout all the Beatles music that indicates that Paul's actually dead, and that this is like a fake Paul, like the walking across Abbey Road, like the picture how it's like the pallbearer or the angel, the dead, like the grave digger, da da da. There's all this weird shit, but it's all these like George Harrison tapes. It's super fucking funny, and they had this really cheesy bad guy do this Beatles accent for like recreating the audio from these tapes from George Harrison. You should look it up, man. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's not obviously not real, but I mean, or it could be. It might be real. That might not really be him. It could be someone we couldn't even imagine.
I don't know, man. Like he, I don't know. Dude.
That's a theory that it's not really Paul McCartney. It's a fake Paul. So they call him Paul.
He did have that wife with a fake leg.
And then there's like there's tons of indications in their album covers and songs about Paul being dead. And there's like, play one of these songs backwards and it says Paul's dead.
So not only is Paul dead, and they're pretending like this,
because they were so big, they were worried about people like freaking.
But why are they hinting towards him being dead? Then
well, it was the rest of the band trying to indicate to their fans that Paul's actually dead. He's not really. But
they're the
Paul
ones
McCartney.
lying about him. Why would they?
They didn't have a choice. They literally. I'm telling you, dude. This guy's voice. He's like, some guy from M16 or M15 showed up and told us we had to keep going on with this clone Paul. Everyone knew Paul was dead. So, like, that's the whole theory, is that Paul was dead. The British government forced them basically to continue making music and bring on this imposter Paul. I found
so they couldn't say anything, but they would allude to it.
Yeah, in their music.
In riddles.
In riddles and rhymes. In riddles and rhymes, just how I'd like to speak.
I don't know, dude.
Or they'd be doing like EDM shit, dude. They'd just be doing features.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe like that.
House music. That's what I'm saying. Like tantric, like indie hippie chick shit.
Yeah.
Doing like yoga retreats with like Jared Leto and like 3 Seconds to Mars. They like open for him.
Oh, ooh, they'd open for Jared Leto. Get that.
No. Jared Leto would open for them. Is what I'm saying. He'd be like, "Oh, this is such an honor. Let me brush my hair in your presence. Get the fuck out of here, man." And he used to be like
cool.
And then what happened?
Now he's the most pretentious, annoying actor on the planet.
He was probably like always that pretentious. We just never knew.
For sure. It's like, I could be a movie star. I could be the lead singer of a band.
Kiss like
my ass.
Because I remember when he was on My So-Called Life, because my sisters used to watch that, and I wanted to hit him in the face then. I was like, I kind of want to punch this guy. There's something about him and his like little sweater, baggy sweater thing. Like, I kind of want to just punch him in the face. And then it's come full circle because he was like like 6'17" at that time. Then you fast forward and he's in like his 40s, and I just want to like punch him in the fucking face.
Yeah, all he has going for him is Requiem for a Dream. Like, had you not made that movie, we'd never have liked him.
Well, they tried to. There's other movies I've seen him in that were good, but then everything he's been in now has been awful, and he tries to be like, I'm gonna be a Batman. I'm gonna be in Marvel. I got to do it, or I'm the Joker. And it's like, dude, just like, because if you don't do a good job or they cut you out of the movie like they did in the original cut, you just look like a dick. Like, you should take like different shit. Do something else.
Yeah, he thinks he's Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's not.
I'm trying to think what
he's like Matthew McConaughey, with like, but less charming.
And like, if you're gonna try to get into the action movies after being serious, I mean, like the Leonardo DiCaprio route, it definitely makes more sense. And then like a lot of his big action movies that were huge, like Inception and all those movies, were like later in the game, and they were like sophisticated highbrow movies. They weren't like, all right, man.
I mean, Leo's career is totally different than anybody's.
No, well, true, but I'm just saying, like, Jared Leto's picking these, like, okay, I want to be in, like, I'd rather be in Marvel than do something that could potentially be a more serious role. Is what
Well,
I'm
that's
saying.
because he wants to get the bag because he knows the good roles aren't coming to him.
And he's not good like playing like I'm a sniper from Jersey. I'm just Mark Wahlberg. I gotta go in the Middle East and go save some people. I miss my girl Rosie. Like how he's so good at those bad action movies that he makes them better. Like
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
imagine.
But yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal's getting those roles for over him.
Well, yeah. Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal is more comparison to Leonardo DiCaprio.
he's in between Leo and Leto.
I'd say he's like creeping up on Leo.
Like
He's really
Leo's
good.
taking certain roles from Jared Leto, and Jake Gyllenhaal's taking other ones, like army shit and like guns. Like Gyllenhaal has a new, I think it's Gyllenhaal has a new movie out where he's like in the army or Secret Service or something or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, oh, I mean, just on acting level, I think he's just as good as Leo.
Leto?
No, Jake.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like
maybe,
on that. Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, no, he's done some pretty good stuff. Like his role in Prisoners is awesome. He's great on Nightcrawler. He's got some good shit. He'll do some
Yeah,
dark stuff,
yeah.
Anyways,
Okay.
but yeah, Beatles, EDM, or like just doing the world tour and sucking the teat, dude, and just like chasing moms, chasing grandmas at this point. Like that's what I'm saying. If they were still alive, it'd be
Is
rough.
Yoko still involved?
Probably. I think Yoko outlives them
She,
all, regardless. I think that was like the pact that they made whenever she joined the group. Like, it was like she's like gonna outlive all of them, and so she'll be, like that's the ghost of
but she would
Yoko.
still be like she would have lasted this long. Like
Well,
Lennon wouldn't have got like sick of her.
well, no, they would have had like taken a break, so like it would have been like rough, like in the '90s when grunge. We don't understand this grunge music. Who's Nirvana? Who's Kurt Cobain? He's just complaining up there. Like they get out of music because and Paul would they'd all split and then they'd come back and do some reunion shit. That's exactly what they do. They get the band back together. Ringo's like doped up or something. I don't know.
No,
Everyone.
Ringo's sober right now.
But I'm saying, who knows the whole trajectory of it could go any direction because
That's true.
if they were all still around and like if John Lennon doesn't die and they're still making music as a group, who knows? It could go any direction.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it for therapy questions. We are now on to the current event section. Joseph, Texas is crazy AF.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't even have an article about this. I kind of didn't even want to talk about it, but it's almost impossible not to. But there was that shooting in Allen, Texas,
At the mall in
at
Allen,
the
Texas.
mall, at the Allen Outlets, which is
What?
not far from where I am
Right.
at all. Like that's Allen's a nice area. I mean, that's where Kyler Murray played high school football. If like for context for people if they don't know anything about Texas, but you watch football, Kyler Murray played high school football. We played high school football against Allen. That's
Yeah, I
literally
played
not
high
far.
school hockey against them all the time.
Yeah,
But even before that, there was the shooting of the neighbor who asked the guy to like stop shooting his gun on his property at 11:30 at night, and then the guy who was told to stop shooting went over to those people's house and killed like 5 people.
yeah, it's fucking nuts. And then there was a guy down in Brownsville who decided to drive through like a group of people outside some migrant
At a bus stop.
homeless shelter. Like, dude, Texas is such a shit show, and I'm so tired of this Greg Abbott clown. I know we've talked about it like multiple times.
Governor of Texas.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, Governor of Texas, Hot Wheels, fucking Greg Abbott is just such a douche. I do not understand it. And you know what they're talking about now? We're gonna raise the gun age on like assault style weapons to 21. I mean, that's just like they could have. It's so frustrating because and I'm not saying we need to take everybody's guns away. I don't think that's absurd, but I do think that universal background checks, there should be laws where if you own a gun and you have kids, you have to put it up and like lock it to where it can't be gotten to. In Texas, I don't think there's a law that exists. So if you have a child and they get into where your gun is stored in the closet because you're stupid and you leave your gun out and they go do something, those parents can't be punished for those kids. Like that parent should be held responsible for being an irresponsible gun owner.
Right.
Like,
And it's like they don't even realize that like look, let's just say like an accidental shooting like that, like with kids. It's like they don't even realize that doesn't happen if guns are just readily available. You know, it's
Well,
like
but
they're just like, oh, that's a horrific mistake. It's like, well, no, if the gun was in there, that never would have happened.
no, and I mean, it's you think about it where like, and they're doing this in Florida where it's like what constitutional carry. So you got a bunch of like guns are not
Which means that you don't need a permit
yeah
to
permit, no
open
training,
carry.
no not open carry or concealed carry. You can
Yeah,
just carry a gun on you. It doesn't matter, and that's wild to me because first of all, what was it? A school ID wasn't valid for voting or voter registration, but a gun, concealed
gun
handgun
permit in
permit was
Texas
yes,
is
Texas
valid
is
ID
valid,
to
yeah,
register to vote,
for
your
anything.
your college ID is not. Who votes for Republicans? Gun owners. Who votes for Democrats? College students.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just mind blowing that you would have a bunch of people and guns are not a diffuser in situations. I can't think of a time where like people walking around with guns was like, oh man, like I feel safer because I know everyone's armed, or people are arguing and guns get involved. Like it's a tool to make a rash decision and alter yours and other people's lives for forever on like impulse. And then you got people going around actively like targeting people. It's fucking madness.
Right. So this is what we have. We have the stand your ground law, which means you don't have uh, the mandate to retreat if you're fearing for your life. You're allowed to stand your ground. So, and then you have the open carry without a permit. So now it's like people are open carrying their guns, and then they feel like that they're threatened. They have to stand their ground, and now you got to shoot off. Like, it's like, what are we doing?
And then what's even wilder is well, there's also the castle laws where it's like if you have the right to protect your house, so if someone breaks into your house, you can shoot them. If they're running away, you can't. But if they attack you or they're coming at you and you feel threatened, and now if somebody runs out of the house and is running away and not trying to attack you and you chase them and shoot and kill them, you'll go to jail. Like we've seen that happen multiple times where people have shot people breaking into their house or people who've broken in and are leaving. But if someone's like attacking you in your house, you can do whatever. But we have people actively going out and just targeting people. Like that's wild. I mean, and obviously you can't really do anything without being worried about something like this happening. There's like whole families. There was like a 6-year-old boy who was the only surviving member, and both of his parents and his little sister were both just killed outside of a fucking H&M. And we can't sit there and regulate this stuff or don't want to take responsibility for how we allow people to come and go and purchase. I think I've talked about it before that it's absurd that the whole idea of a felon in possession of a firearm is the stupidest idea to me. Whenever, not that laws shouldn't exist, but the fact that it gets to the point to where we don't even know if felons are carrying guns until we catch them with them. There's no system in place to really stop them in some places from getting a gun, and hopefully you catch them before they do something with it. Because
you have no idea that they have the gun.
Yeah, they could walk into a fucking gun show and go grab a gun like that.
Yeah.
It's a private deal. I don't want to do a background check. Here you go.
Right.
It's that easy.
And 90% of Americans support background checks. Like, the fact that you want like background checks, they just do whatever the fuck they want. What's insane to me is like, how did the gun lobby like get this position where like they're the most feared lobby? Like, I don't feel like guns are like the tech sector is way bigger than the gun sector. I would assume. I haven't really looked into this, but let's just assume. Like, it's not.
Yeah, but I mean,
the gun sector is not Apple.
Yeah, but they've pandered. So they've pandered to people where people have always thought like guns are dangerous or people do these things. There's always been a group of people. There's a group of people that hate guns and don't want anybody to have a gun and want to snatch it from them, right? And there's that group of people totally exists. There's another group of people that are like, I should be able to carry 1,000 guns on me 24/7 and be able to do whatever the hell I want, and you can't tell me shit, and yada yada yada. That group of people exists too. They're like, because the government's listening to me through my Subway sandwich. Like, that dude exists out there somewhere. So there's extremes on both sides. I mean, so they've pandered. because as time has grown and as gun violence has grown, it's harder and harder for some people to justify not just like owning a gun, but I'm saying like certain styles of weapons or certain weapons for just random civilian use. I mean, there's so many things that we don't trust people with in the first place, or like we make it really difficult to get your license, or if you lose your license, it's harder to get. You could go buy a gun at a gun without a license.
Yeah.
You can go find someone to sell you a gun without a license.
Well, like, they should be paying me for this advice, but the Democratic Party, like, they get hit by the Republicans all the time for crime, right? Crime. A lot of it's overblown. Like San Francisco, the crime's out of control. It's actually now, it's like, it's like less than it's been, and it's also like in the middle of the pack as far as like major cities. So, but that just like becomes the perception. So Democrats should be like, okay, you're hitting us on crime. Well, how are crimes committed with guns? And we're not trying. You guys are trying to like make it easier for criminals to get guns, Republicans, and we're
Well,
trying to make it
yeah,
harder.
but also
So
there's a
who's really
whole
supporting crime?
there's also like a whole group of younger people that are completely that grew up in a completely different world than we've grown, and over time they're continually being able to vote. And I think that that's going to be where the tide turns. I think they're going to lose some of these battles in the ballot box, to where that some of these gun laws are going to be changed, whether Republicans want them to or not, because their stance on things and the way they're going, there's like no nuance to it anymore. Where like they can't just sit there and pander to baby boomers all the time and like our grandparents and just expect them to be like, oh yeah, like it's more difficult than that. And we're like a little bit more informed. We grew up in a different age where we had information at our fingertips that they didn't. So if they didn't go look for the information, they never knew it. We learned stuff without even wanting to. And then you think there's a whole generation ingrained in that, and then you throw on top like not being able to bring backpacks to school. Because they're worried about guns. No, what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying is, so their whole mindset of gun violence and the way that they've been affected by it at young ages is like same with us, where we had like Columbine and there was issues and there was school shootings, but they've had them at such a frequency at this point where there's been these shootings where like some of them, this gun violence in America is commonplace to them. And for us, it's not. It's something that's completely foreign. This isn't what we grew up with. This isn't the way that, like, I mean, obviously there was always gun violence, but it wasn't to this extent. And for some of them, it's always been to this extent. It's never not been like this.
Well, okay, but this is the thing. So if the young people have different ideas and are more reasonable about it, well, guess what? That's why your college ID doesn't work to vote, like to register to vote. So they're going to try to prevent people from voting to get them out. They're going to gerrymander, so like the voting is skewed in their favor, and that's how we're going to keep getting minority rule. Is because they have to move the goalposts. They have to cheat, as Republicans, in order to maintain office. Like if like in most of these states, if you went by like the amount of people who voted for like a Democratic side in like a red state, it's usually around like 50%, but the Republicans are getting like 70% of the seats because of how it's like gerrymandered.
Yeah, but I mean that's where it's on like a larger scale. I mean, where if we can continue, I mean it's a pipe dream, but you'd have to almost not take a page out of the Republican book, but hopefully some of these conservative judges go to the wayside, and we have and some. I mean, I think that there's just too much old fucks in government at this point. Like, I'm not interested in watching Joe Biden or Donald Trump run. Donald Trump's an idiot, so I hope Joe Biden wins over Donald Trump, obviously. But I think that they're both just too old, and they're too just like out of touch. Not to be like an ageist or anything, but just in the direction that we need to head, as opposed to like this slow and steady bullshit. It's and
I know, but I mean, Biden got so many things done. Like,
no, and I'm not trying to hate on Biden, but I'm
but
just saying, like, long term, longevity wise, I think we need to continue to steer in a different direction. I don't know if anybody from that group is really willing to steer in that direction. Biden is, but it's more at the advice of other people that are in his administration. Like if there was another feasible Democratic candidate, would you vote for that person over Joe Biden?
well, it just depends on who that is. Like, like Gavin Newsom could make an argument for me because that's my governor here in California. But no,
California's
I
a
think
war zone, man. It's
Biden's
got
been a really
blackouts all the time.
Oh, it doesn't. What are you talking
That's
about?
what I've heard, man. I heard it
Blackouts?
on the five, rolling blackouts on the five, dude, on Fox every morning.
No, dude, I don't remember the last time we've had a blackout. That was like when that's how Schwarzenegger got into office over Gray Davis was because of the rolling brownouts is what they call them. And so they had a special election and that's Schwarzenegger came in and he did okay. But then
Yeah, how was Schwarzenegger, man? Was he
he
chill?
wasn't terrible at all. And then we had that was he wasn't a crazy Republican. And then Jerry Brown came in, who was elected as the youngest governor ever in California history in the 70s, comes back elected as the oldest ever, crushes it for 8 years. We're like, have a surplus, like, no blackouts, like shit's popping here. We're like the fourth largest economy in the world. And Gavin Newsom was his lieutenant governor the whole time and then became governor. So, I mean, they're doing a good job. Biden has done a great job. Like, he's gotten more shit done than anybody in the history of their first term. And, like,
I'm not trying to hate on him.
I know. So it's just like, like this perception. It's like, well, he's too old. It's like, okay, well, if he still keeps getting shit done that we want to get done and keeps Trump out of the fucking White House, like that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I think in the big term strategic game, like the Supreme Court in Wisconsin going more liberal and then winning that seat, I think that's huge. That's one of the most gerrymandered states in the country is Wisconsin. It's pretty wild. So having that flip, they might be able to change some of those laws and change some stuff, which would help. And then that means it's more difficult for like there, a road to the what is it, 287 or whatever the number in the electoral college. What's it? What's the exact number?
You mean like electoral votes?
Yeah, electoral votes. Some people are already saying that there's like the path to that is already closed for Republicans in 2024, regardless of the candidate. Seeing how all these other votes have shaken out in these other states for Supreme Court justice seats, for judges, for governors, some of these flippings of areas that they've always won are starting to turn blue or the numbers aren't in their favor or they're losing, is something that is possible with what they've seen in Wisconsin and what they saw in Michigan before,
I mean, just think about
Georgia.
this. Think about this. The Republican nomination for the presidency has only won the popular vote once in 20 years.
True.
So when it's not gerrymandered and everybody's just voting
No
or
one's
counting
they're
votes,
like they're
they
dicks.
lose almost every time. Like it was just John Kerry after like with George Bush right after we got into the Iraq War is the only time they won the popular vote. George Bush lost it his first time. Clinton won it back to back before that, and then Barack Obama won it back
Oh
to back
yeah,
after
man.
Bush, and then Hillary Clinton beat Trump like by 7 fucking million votes, and then no 4 million for Hillary, 7 million for Biden. So he's a loser. The only
Yeah, I
way
mean,
he can get into office is by losing the popular vote or an insurrection, and he failed at the insurrection. He can't even, even when he loses, he loses.
you failed at the insurrection. Oh whoa, it's like boxception. That's pretty trippy.
Yeah, he's a fucking loser.
Well, fuck Greg Abbott, dude. I'm not even kidding you. I just have a bunch of Greg Abbott memes pulled up. Like I can't stand Greg Abbott. I
Yeah,
really can't, man. And I just can't. I can't stand this take on guns and people being so hell bent on keeping them in this whole like Charlton Heston. You'll pry it from my cold dead hands, like that bullshit. Holding a
yeah,
musket, like you're fucking Davy Crockett, who's
right.
probably racist. So sit
Yeah,
down, Charlton Heston. I'm just saying
and
it's so
the
dumb.
Second Amendment, all the Second Amendment says, it's that you're free to have a well-regulated militia, not uh, you're free to have like 5 assault rifles
And
in your
okay,
house.
yeah, and this is another thing. Like this whole lone wolf thing is to me like we're past that point. These are people. A lot of these people that are committing these mass shootings have a singular ideology. They all kind of fall under the same umbrella when it comes to their world. Not always. You have outliers, whether it be somebody who's different or doesn't fit the mold when it comes to a shooter, but they all kind of have these same ideologies that we've seen recently.
Oh yeah, like a lot of them will like read the manifestos of mass shooters before them, and then just do the same fucking thing. they're all like a lot, like majority of them are incels, right? Involuntary celibate. They get caught up on the internet, like into the dark corners like of the internet.
Well, they
They don't
find
know how
like
to
solace. Yeah,
socialize.
they find like solace in friendships and these like. But I mean, that's not for everyone. I mean, not necessarily. Some of it's taught. I'm just saying that in the long run, you have a lot of these people that have similar outlooks and want a similar outcome when it comes to life. And some of them have like the same ideologies, follow the same groups, follow the same people, listen to the same shit, and go out and commit the same acts. So it's not like they're really lone wolves at that point. They're more of like
Right.
little. They're more like little splinter cells of a bigger ideology that like wants to use violence as their way to like get their point across. And we're just enabling those people by not doing our due diligence when it comes to who we allow to carry guns. We not nearly as much as we are who gets to fucking drive a moped on the highway, making sure it has blinkers so you'll get pulled over and it'll get impounded. Oh, but you want a 357 mag? Meet me behind the Carl's Jr. and I'll sell you one for $800. Like that's wild, and that's legal. Like, oh, it's private
Yeah.
gun deal. That's fucking ridiculous to me.
And then not to mention also, Republicans get all up in arms about the border, and then we have an opiate like epidemic going on in the country. Well, the opiates are coming from the cartels. Where do the cartels get their weapons to stay in power? Oh, it's from the fucking country right next to them that just has like 400 million guns. So these guys have access to guns. They perpetuate this opioid epidemic. So you have like, and then border security. It's like, how you secure the borders. Like you don't have just massive amounts of weapons going south, for them to like then like get
Well,
drugs from up
but
here.
that's just even more bigger of an example of not even just that, but how wild our gun trade and gun sales are. Is that we can just be like, oh, we're just gonna ship tons of guns and give them to cartels and just do like they're just bartering chips at this point. It's
Yeah,
crazy, and the fact that now Texas is like, oh, well, maybe we should raise. Now we're gonna raise the age. The shop, they outside the H&M. That's it. That's when we got it. We really got. Now we got to make changes, guys. Not the school. No, definitely not then. We were steadfast. We were, but now they got us. Like, get the fuck out of here. They're just such schmucks. It's so ridiculous. And look, I'm not saying that if you were a legal gun owner, you shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. But I'm saying it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a scenario where somebody can go walk into a big fucking outdoor barn gun sale at the convention center by Bass Pro Shop, not really get checked, talk to anybody, be able to purchase a gun and walk out, and then buy like a bump stock to make it a full auto, and then buy a 60 round mag, and then
yeah.
got and like never owned a gun before, just walk out, leave, hit up that
And what we
dollar
need to do
menu
is
on the way home.
yeah, and convince that these like responsible gun owners, we're not talking about you. And in fact, you should get on our side because all these irresponsible gun owners and like that have irresponsible people that have access to guns are putting a bad name on people who are responsible. So the people who are responsible gun owners should be like on our side of background checks, lock this shit like, up to like people who have mental health like disorders or, have violent pasts or or depressed,
Yeah, it shouldn't be, and I'm not. Yeah, it just should be. It shouldn't be that easy.
regulated.
Having it be
Yeah,
that easy isn't the answer.
right.
That's a, like that's it's not that easy for anything else. That would be just to do like, well, a car. And it's like, yeah, a car, you have to go through a lot to be able to have a car, and even then, like, I mean, it's easier for someone to like when people get in road rage accidents, they hop out of their car and then they end up shooting each other or shoot somebody, or it's just so. mm. And you can't be like pro police and then just be like pro everybody gets a gun. That's not how that.
Yeah.
That's not how
How
that
does that
shit
help the
works.
police?
How does that
Yeah,
help? Everyone's strapped.
yeah. And in the 90s, we had an assault weapons ban and it worked. We have the numbers. And who supported it? The police union.
Yeah, and then what's crazy is later on down the road, I remember being a kid. I think we talked about this before, and then the newspaper got the ban dropped. It didn't, and there was like AK-47s for sale, like at Walmart in the newspaper, for like $300, $3.99. Come get
Well,
an
I thought that they
AK.
banned AK-47s because they were Russian made, but you could buy like the equivalent.
Well, no, there was like, but they were all like, no, there was that assault weapons ban, so you couldn't buy anything really assault weapons
Right.
style. And then whenever that got lifted, there was like all those style of guns, like get a Bushmaster at Walmart for $3.99,
Right.
AK-47 for $4.99. There was all these
I
like
just thought
picture ads.
AK-47s were illegal still, but maybe not.
No, you can own an AK. They're not maybe not Russian made, but there's like Chinese versions and stuff that you can buy.
Okay.
I know someone
Well,
who has a Chinese AK. It's crazy with a 30 round drum clip. It's
jeez,
wild. Yeah,
that
I
is
didn't
wild.
know that. Didn't know that for the longest time. Busted out as this crazy wood grain, like one piece stock. I was like, that's
Dude,
bougie. What the hell
call
is this?
yourself a patriot. You got some Chinese broke ass firearm. Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I never knew he had it. He's never been
Yeah,
like,
but
oh, it's just out.
if you're gonna have a gun, buy American. No, I'm just kidding. Don't buy. Like, okay. Anyways, let's move on to the next article, number 2 out of 3 here.
It's not really an article. It's just like, first off, a horrifying picture of the king and King Charles's the third's coronation, and we were talking about it at the top of it. Like, it's goofy as fuck, dude. You know that he couldn't marry her unless like his wife was dead. This is the chick that he was smashing while he was with Princess Di, and then he ends up marrying her and making her queen. That's skeevy as fuck. That's
City girls up. City
some
girls up.
simping ass.
Dude, she
Shit.
put in a lot of work, like with that like inbred by his like closely related cousins, King. Like it's not easy like sucking that guy's dick. So maybe she deserves it.
Yeah, because they're all kind of like married off to each other, and like it's like a circle. They're the
Yeah,
Habsburgs. They had like
I
this
think somebody
Habsburg.
called it
Hab-
slightly inbred, slightly inbred.
well, there was the Habsburgs who ruled for a while. They had multiple kings. They had the Habsburg jaw, where it was this protruding jaw that was like this big underbite that they had for forever. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse over time. You can look up portraits of them, and apparently they were just like hideously ugly. But it was all a product of like them marrying their sisters and weird shit. I
Right.
don't know. I just think the
I
whole thing's
mean, but
goofy.
we're talking about how goofy it is, but now we're talking about it yet again. Like what we're kind of like part of the problem here.
Well, but we're talking shit about. We're not like, oh my god, it was amazing. Did you see Katy Perry was there? Like, I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I also didn't get. So a lot of the British like music acts like declined, like Elton John and Adele. But so they have Lionel Richie and Katy Perry at the
Well, Lionel
coronation. Like
Richie, yeah.
those are Americans though. The Katy Perry, and not only are they Americans, they're judges on American Idol.
Well, Lionel Richie will show up to anything you invite him to.
Right, but why
They're like,
is
you want me
they
there?
like they ran out of all of the British music acts? Like
Yeah, they're
so
like, fuck these clowns.
and then no American acts that are better than Lionel Richie want to
Like,
go.
think about it. So they have Prince Andrew, who's like stripped of all of his shit. Had to pay that girl that he was creeping on and being a complete sicko with while he was hanging out with Epstein. Had to pay her, basically admitting guilt, and nothing happened. They have like their version of Epstein like wandering around in
Yeah,
like
well, yeah,
Land Rovers because
they
his
they
family like protects the shit out of him.
and
That's
I think
wild.
he wanted to move into now King Charles's old spot because King Charles is moving on to Buckingham or whatever,
Yeah,
and and they're like no,
yeah.
they're
But
like
he's
like
living in some massive castle somewhere else.
exactly, it's just a no name castle. He's
Yeah.
like
Oh, and
yeah,
no
but
name cat.
banished to like
And rightfully should be in.
150 acres.
He should be locked up, or
Yeah, no
banished to
shit.
the land with only with the two stables. Only the two stables. That's all you get. Get out of here, Andrew.
Oh man.
Like it's the whole. I mean, and I get it. Like, but
And
this.
Harry could only be there for less than 24 hours.
Yeah, well, because he's like kicked out of the family because he married a
He's
black
persona
woman.
non grata.
He married a black woman. Um, there's like there's people protesting. Like there's a lot of people protesting. The protests in France. There's people who like hate the royals who are British and are like, this is just so goofy at this point.
Well, inflation is terrible there. Like the Brexit has completely backfired on them, like a lot of people could have predicted.
Yep.
So they're out of the EU, and it's fucking up all their like trade, agreements and shit. So everybody in Europe is dealing with inflation, except for the UK is dealing with it like way worse than everybody. And then you have like these rich people who've never done shit in their lives that are just like flaunting like how rich they are. Like he's rolling around in a golden carriage that's 200,
Robin
like,
Leach. Yeah.
yeah, hundreds of years old, except for they got air conditioned in the goddamn gold carriage, and which is true, facts. And
Caviar
so,
dreams.
yeah, yeah, champagne and cocaine everywhere. But these people, like, their buying power has decreased like by significantly in the last like few years that they've been Brexited.
And then they loved Kate Upton, right? Is that her name? The one
No,
that
that's a model
oh, that's
married to
right.
Justin
Verlander.
Verlander.
That's right. Sorry, I just saw her on TV earlier.
No,
Who's he married to? Kate something.
Kate. That's William was married to Kate
Okay. Well, yeah.
Middleton,
Middleton. That's it. So there's that one that they married to, and the Brits all liked her. Then the other brother married or son married Markle, sister, and they were not down with that, so he got kicked out of the family.
They're like, you can marry your real sister, but not
No, not a sister. Not a sister.
Definitely not.
Yeah. We want her to be corn fed. We don't want her to know how to make cornbread. There's a big difference. Big difference.
That's a niche.
Yeah,
niche.
So, yeah, I mean, and I watched The Crown, but I think it's just goofy that he decided to make her queen and with all the princess died. It's just a bad look. It's just like,
No, that's what she demanded that.
oh, I'm sure she did.
She's like, I'll blow this whole shit up like Meghan Merkel. You don't think
I heard
I
you.
will?
I heard what you said to her. I know the words you use. I'll write a book. Everybody's been wanting my book. I'll write a book. Like, oh, I'm sure.
The Camilla-nator.
Yeah, she turned into a sister in that moment. I was more of like a black woman's voice is what I was doing. But I am
like,
just...
Bitch better have my crown. Pay me what you owe me.
Yeah, so I mean, he was like, all right, fine. But he didn't look that happy the whole time.
Yeah, well, he has a resting bitch face.
Well, and he's old as shit, so he's been waiting for forever for this.
Yeah, fuck that. And also, okay, so then you have to think about this. You have to think about this shit too. So not only is he the head of state for the UK, but he's the head of state for Canada. He's the head of state for Australia. I think for New Zealand. And what is he gonna do? Put his fucking face on the money? Like, how are people gonna start thinking about that? Like, that's when it's like there's gonna be a lot of grumblings. Like, I guarantee you, within the next 5 years, Canada and Australia will move on from the monarchy. Still, like, the Queen's on their money. Like, what the fuck are we doing, y'all?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, man. It's just goofy.
Let's move on.
No, we don't live in a time where we need monarchs.
Right, but we do live in a time in the United States where we need fake electors for.
I'm flipping through some of these. I'm just looking through some of these pictures because they're just gold. And he just looks goofy as shit. And I love that Prince William went bald as fuck. That makes me happy. Yeah, I don't get it. Weird. All right. This next one is from The Hill.
Final therapy. Final current event.
Final current event. This is from The Hill. At least 8 fake Georgia electors get immunity deals in Trump probe report. At least 8 of the 16 Georgia fake electors who planned to declare former President Trump the winner of the state in 2020 despite his loss have received immunity deals in an investigation into efforts to overturn the results of the state's election.
So what that means, by the state prosecutor giving these 8 people immunity, which they agreed to, which means that they won't get charged with any crimes, but they have to give testimony and they can't lie about it. So they have to answer the questions because they can't plead the fifth now because they have immunity. So you're not testifying against yourself because you aren't going to get in trouble for this. So you have to testify as a part of the deal. And if they find out that you were lying or you didn't tell the whole truth, deal's off, then you can get prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So that's how that works.
Yeah.
So Trump is doubly fucked.
Yeah, the prosecutors working the Fulton County District Attorney, Fannie Willis, told 8 people will not face charges related to her probe if they cooperate and testify about the efforts from Trump and his allies to overturn President Biden's victory of the state. Yeah, and it's only half of them. This is a case that she's been building for a while. She's mentioned that there's probably going to be, she said last month, she planned to announce any indictments stemming from her investigation between July 11th and September 1st, adding that she expected the announcement to stir up significant public reaction.
Well, what she said in her announcement that she was going to bring charges during that time period, she said the reason why she was notifying everyone was because she wanted to give ample time for uh, the proper authorities to build up like security and shit because she's anticipating a huge backlash from charging Trump with trying to overturn the fucking election. So she's giving these people a couple months to get a game plan together to, if there's protests or whatever, or, death threats and shit like that.
That's gonna be some wild shit. If it's some stuff like that, that's gonna be really crazy. 16 fake electors who plan to declare Trump the winner in Georgia, and former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani were informed they were targets of the investigation. So they've been looking into this for a while, and this is tied to those voicemails like, "Hey, it's me, Lindsey Graham. Please call me back." Like they're just on voicemail, like on some straight boomer shit, just calling and leaving the wildest voicemails. Being like, we only need, what was it, like 11,180.
Seven, yeah, yeah. The exact number that he needed, one more than he needed, or like to not tie and win.
Yeah.
He specifically says that. So, and it's recorded. So I mean, it's the biggest smoking gun ever. He's going to get charged with this. It's going to be a big deal, and this is going to move a lot faster once the charges are presented, or the indictments are, that than the 52 felony or 30, was it 34 felony accounts
34 felony counts, yeah.
in New York. So that one, they're not even scheduled to meet again until December, even though he's been charged with all those. And this one, he could get charged, and this shit could be done before that New York trial even starts.
And then there's the trial with Jack Smith, who's looking into all the illegal
Who's the
documents.
special prosecutor
for
the feds.
For the feds, for all the stolen documents. And they've just subpoenaed all the video footage, and then subpoenaed people to question them about the handling of the video footage after it was subpoenaed.
Yeah, there's a new like kind of whistleblower who came forward with new evidence. So Jack Smith is not only investigating the classified documents and the obstruction of justice when they asked for him back, and Trump like seems like he took some out of the closet and like hid them somewhere, and then said they were all back, but they weren't. And then also simultaneously, he's investigating January 6th. So that's two other like huge federal cases he's going to catch here.
And then he's still right now that civil suit against him in the R word case against I can't remember her name.
E. Jean Carroll.
E. Jean Carroll is going on, and he refuses to show up or testify.
He refuses to present a defense. However, he did a deposition.
It's damning. It's crazy.
On video, where he says that stars have been able to grab women by the pussy for millions of years, and that's just how it is. Quote, unfortunately or fortunately,
throughout history.
And then they asked, like, so do you consider yourself a star? And he's like, I think yeah, I would. So he's just like, this is how it is. Well, it turns out Trump, in the last million years, like, attitudes of men towards women, they've changed, in a million years. I don't know if you know that.
Well, so, and the not doing a defense and that deposition being taken in as evidence is wild, because when you watch it and you hear these quotes come out of his mouth, he's so arrogant when he says it. He's such a prick. He's such a smug ass that it's like, dude, like, you're on trial right now to like have for like what you're accused of doing. Like, you should, like, you're gonna show up. You think you're creating a great defense or a good image of yourself in this deposition?
Dude, I mean, he's admitting to exactly what he did. He's like, in that Access Hollywood tape, where they had him recorded.
Yeah,
he says he grabs women by the pussy. He's like, I took her to a furniture store and I moved on her like a bitch. I start kissing her, don't even ask. Like, he's admitting to exactly what he did to this woman, like, in there. And then also he's admitting to it being a rapist by saying she's not his type. So she's not his type for him to commit sexual assault against, meaning that he has a type that he commits sexual assault against. So,
Yeah, it's
you
pretty.
know,
It's
it's like,
wild.
get the fuck out of here,
It's
bro.
so crazy. I can't like.
It's like, how do you
And we
polish
just
that turd?
and we're talking about this investigation with fake electors in Fulton County, Georgia. And we also just brought up like 7 other things that this motherfucker is wrapped up in. And people
Yeah.
like it's on some fucking Wakanda shit. Like, this is your king? What the fuck, dude? This guy is just like falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, all he does is crime. He can't stop criming.
And on footnote, that's how shitty Ron DeSantis is, that he can't beat that guy.
Oh yeah, Ron DeSantis is done, dude.
He's such an idiot that he can't beat that dude.
Yeah, the alleged rapist, alleged uh
Well, hey,
person
hold up.
he staged a coup and failed.
Yeah.
He stole secret documents from the White House and then hid them from the FBI.
Yeah.
In your state of Florida, it's DeSantis. And then whenever they said they were going to charge him for the stuff that happened in New York, DeSantis just went out of his way and said he wouldn't cooperate with the extradition of him from Florida to New York, except for nobody asked him to cooperate,
Yeah.
and it's not up to him. And so it's like he's like by like showing his support for Trump by not extraditing him for his 32 felonies or whatever the fuck.
When in the filing, Dubrow pushes back against a request from Willis that she be disqualified from further participating in the case based on an accusation that she did not tell her clients about an offer of immunity and an alleged conflict of interest. Willis argued that some of the electors incriminated other electors Dubrow represents, creating a conflict.
And she's the Trump lawyer that they gave
Yeah.
to these. So Trump's paying for their legal advice of the fake electors, and that person is not telling them that they can get immunity because she doesn't want them to rat out Trump.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she doesn't want, that's her whole job. That's why you don't take those lawyers. That's why some of these people in these investigations have dropped the Trump lawyers and picked up their own lawyers.
They all have. Yeah. So the having 8 people get immunity that are like central to what happened is like, that's a big deal. And then they've gotten Lindsey Graham, Rudy Giuliani to testify. And then in the Jack Smith stuff about January 6th, they were able to compel Vice President Pence to testify, even though he was trying to say that he was the president of the Senate that day, so he's immune from testifying because he was a senator. And they're like, no, bro. Like, we just made Lindsey Graham testify in Georgia, and he's an actual senator. Like,
He's like, hold on, let me get some warm milk, and I'll be there in a second. But then that's where he's gonna have like the religious moral conflict where he can't lie. Sorry, Donald, you're the devil.
he doesn't have to have that like religious conflict. He has perjury, like,
Well, yeah.
from the Department of Justice hanging over his head. You better not fucking lie. And why would he? Like,
Yeah, but Mike Pence might be excited about prison. Like, maybe he gets away from his wife for a bit, and she's like not in the room. He's just like,
he gets to fool around a little bit.
Yeah, he gets to be him and Lindsay.
He can be himself.
That wouldn't be shocking. I mean,
No, it would not.
But
Especially how like his attitude towards gay people when he was governor of Indiana.
yeah,
It's
he's
like
such an asshole.
he's like the typical like and like homophobic because he is probably gay and he hates himself.
Yeah, he's like ashamed of it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, Mike Pence is a bitch. All right, well, you got anything else, man?
No, I mean, just stay tuned for all this, ongoing legal shit.
Yeah, seriously.
Hopefully, some shit about guns
Yeah.
really gets done.
Yeah, like go pay attention, go out and vote. I know it's like it's goofy to say, but the only way we can really do it is if we're voting for people that have our best interests at heart, or want to make sure that we can get this shit cleaned up. So like, take this shit serious, you guys. We're reaching like a tipping point, I feel like, in American history where like this shit can swing pretty dramatically in other directions. And that's not saying I want it to go dramatically to the left or like as much as I don't want it to go dramatically to the right. But we all need to like be informed and make sure we're out there and we're voting, and not just voting for your own best interests, but the best interests of others as well. And like take a second to think about other people whenever like, you know, and go out and fucking vote. Because if you don't agree with some of this shit, the only way you can really change it is if you go out and fucking vote. It does, like sitting around and talking about it and playing hacky sack and smoking a bowl with your buddy doesn't change shit. If you guys could just like get on the fucking bus, go vote, and then go to Qdoba and get a fucking burrito. Like, let's all get our shits together and be adults about this stuff and start taking the future of our country seriously.
Right. This, I mean, people always say this, but this is, I think, very true. This is the biggest election that we've ever had in my lifetime, for sure. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be a string of them, obviously, until this ideology dies and, like, seeing what people pick up on. Yeah, I mean, this one is just like the last one was. This next one will be, too.
I mean, everything's going to change if you put Trump back in the White House. Like, all bets are off.
Well, I think they were before, too. If he was still in the White House, all bets are off.
Right. So we got to prevent him from sniffing the White House ever again, because that could be the last time we vote.
True.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
You got anything else? What's up?
We'll talk about your itinerary in California.
Yeah, let's go.
Life is good. Stay present. Meditate.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that, man. I'm gonna check some of that shit out.
That's right. Magic 30, y'all.
You know, you were dropping bombs on me. Well, that's it, you guys. 86 in the bag. Just like Camilla, from side Skeeze to Queen.
City girls up.
It's your boy, Mr. Goody and J Hugs. Go out. Go fuck yourselves.
Shout out.
Recording stopped.
All right, later, homie.